Hi everyone, this is Melissa Lanigan, speech and language therapist. I'm going to talk to you today about what to do if your child has a short attention span and if you think this is affecting their speech and language development. I would find in the clinic when I see young kids that come in with speech and language difficulties, sometimes they do come in having short attention spans as well, and that can affect their speech and language development going forward. So a few tips that you could try that might help with this at home would be things like getting physically down to your child's level. So I have my lovely rabbit here to help me out. Rather than you being really up high here and your child being down low, or you're faced away from your child when you're talking to them, try where possible to get down to your child's level. Okay, so rather than me bring rabbit up, I'm going to get down to rabbit's level and I'm going to talk to him face to face. So it's going to be easier for him to understand what I'm saying, possibly. It's going to be easier for him to pay attention to me, and he's going to be, getting the visual cues of my face and my lips as I'm talking to him. Another thing that you can try with your child if they have a short attention span is to be really animated when you're talking to them, okay? So rather than kind of talking like this, now I'm not saying any of us really talk like that, but just really trying to be animated and fun when you're talking to your child. So with the little ones in the clinic, when they come in and the attention span is short, I really try and talk like I'm someone out of Barney and Friends or one of those little children's TV shows, because they tend to pay attention that little bit better when you're really animated with your words. So I could animate the word car in the sentence, let's go in the car. And that might help them to process what I'm saying a little bit more. Another thing that's really helpful for children with short attention spans is to simplify what you say to them. So sometimes you might, say something like, Johnny, we're going to go in the car now because we have to go to town, we have to get milk and bread. So before we do that, I want you to put on your shoes and your coat and we're going to collect Granny on the way. So come on, let's go. All right, so there's an awful lot of information there for young Johnny to have to process. What you could do instead is just give Johnny one idea at a time. All right, so you could say something like, Johnny, let's go in the car, and stress the word car. So you're just giving him one piece of information. If needed, once you're in the car, you tell him what the plan is. Johnny, we're going to town. And I've used his name at the start there too, because sometimes calling your child's name, getting down to their level, and then giving them one idea at a time can help with their processing of what you say. So one idea at a time. Or another thing that can be nice there, if he needed to get his shoes and his coat as part of that, you could show him the shoes and the coat and say, Johnny, let's go in the car. I'm going to show you some quick and easy games that you can play with your child. These games are free. They don't involve any toys. So they're really nice for children who, number one, have short attention spans. Number two, if you have a child who has difficulty playing with toys or who doesn't really play with toys in traditional ways, these kind of games can be quite fun. They just involve you and your child, or maybe a little prop like a blanket or something like that. The first game I have written down is Tickles. So Tickles, what I would do with the child, usually I would come in and maybe give him a little visual like this and say Tickles. Just give it a nice simple name, and maybe the child here, he might smile at me, he might start giggling, he might say Tickles or something like that, and then I know, okay, we're going to start the game. All right, so I'll do Tickles, and once child has, maybe grasped my hands or looked at me or he's made a sound, I'm going to come in and do tickle, 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 and then I'm going to pause and stop. Okay, so why am I stopping there? I'm hoping that the child might say Tickles, might say again, he might come over and grab my hand and pull it over to him. He might look at me. He may communicate in any kind of way for me to do that game again. Or if he's speaking with longer sentences, he might say, Mommy, tickle me again. And I'll come in again, tickle, 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 stop and pause the game. And again, you want this to continue over and over. So you're going to do Tickles to introduce it. You can add other words, that's fine. I just like to keep it short and sweet. And then I'm going to be adding lots of pauses to the game so that my child is going to pay attention for that game for as long as he can. You might get 10 minutes out of that, which is fantastic. The next game that we will talk about is PeekaBoo. Again, a really nice basic little game you can do with your child. So your child could be up on your lap. You could, you're giving them that touch, you're giving them, you could be bouncing them if you want. So they're sitting here close to you, and then you're going to cover your face. And what I want my child to do is to, now if he doesn't know the game, I'm going to show him a few times, boo, or PeekaBoo. So he gets the concept of the game if he's not played it before. And then after that, I'm going to cover my face, and I'm going to pause for a few seconds for as long as I need to. And maybe my child might come up and try and pull my hands apart, or he might peek over to look at me, or he might say boo, or communicate with me in some way to get the game to continue. So once he's done with those, I'm going to do boo, and then I'll do again, and I'll hide back again. Okay, so we're going to keep repeating that. So again, child comes over and he taps me, or he says again, or boo. I'm going to go boo and come away again. Okay, so I'm going to keep that game going as long as I can. Lovely for children who have difficulty playing with toys, but you want to work on that engagement with you. Lovely if your child has a short attention span. The longer you can keep that game going, the better. So just keep it going, keep repeating it. Another nice game you could play is All Around the Garden. So that's the one where you take child's hand and you do all around the garden to catch a teddy bear. 1 step, 2 step, and a tickly under there. So ways you could work on communication with this game is you start off the all around the garden, or you could do all around the garden and wait for your child to communicate with you to say, yeah, I want that game. So he might pull my hand, he might put his hand in mine, he might say all around the garden, he might just say garden, or say something to request that I play that game with him. Okay, so again, we're going to go with the whole stopping, starting game. So all around the garden to catch a teddy bear. 1 step, 2 step. And now I'm going to pause and just let him know that the tickle is going to come. So when he maybe squirms and then looks at me, maybe he is going to start laughing, maybe he's going to say tickle, maybe he's going to say 3 to count to 3. When he does that, then I'll give him the tickles, tickly under there. And then I'll wait again, and maybe he might say again, mammy, or he might look at me as if to say, I want you to do it again, or he might make a sound. I say, okay, again, all around the garden. To pull that game out even more, to get more communication from your child, you could do all around the garden to catch teddy bear, and then you wait here. So he might say 1 step, and you do 1 step. He might say 2 step when you wait. So you could pause at different parts of the game to get him to communicate with you. Other games that you could try there that don't involve toys, that can be easier to pay attention to, would be any kind of nursery rhyme. So you could be doing row, row your boat, and you're going back and forth like this. You could be, singing another song and you're bouncing them on your knee to keep their attention. And then at the end of the song, you're going to stop. Maybe they're going to fill in a few words at the end of the line for you, or maybe when you stop, they're just going to say sing again or again. So you're going to adapt that game, add pauses wherever you want, so that your child has a chance to communicate. Another fun game would be the game Copycat, or just, a game where you copy each other. So I do this sometimes with my child. We tend to get quite a few communicative turns out of it. So that could be if he goes ah, I'll go ah. If he goes ba, I'll say ba. If he waves his hand, I'll wave my hand. If he stamps his feet, I'll stamp my feet. And basically you're just doing this copycat game. So the more you copy your child, the idea is that they will want to copy you back, which is what we want them to do if we want them to learn language skills. So try that game. Another game that does not involve toys would be chase or catch you, whatever you want to call it. So in that game, I could say, I'm going to catch you, and we're going to do a little running gesture, and then I'll get my rabbit that fell on the floor. So he knows now, okay, mom's going to catch me. So he goes off running, and I'm going to come up and catch you, or got you. and then I'm going to stop. Okay, so he might go running again, but I'm going to stop and wait, and hopefully he's noticed, oh, she's not running after me here, so he's going to turn back around and look, and he's going to say, catch me, or catch me, mom, or he might go, or laugh. So he's communicated with me, so I'm going to say, okay, catch you, ready, steady, go, and I'm going to catch him again. And I'm going to keep pausing it so that he has to turn back around and say again, catch me, or communicate in some way with me for the game to keep going. If your child has quite a few words off that game, just keep adding new words so that he's constantly learning something new from the game. So you can keep it quite nice and short and only add 3 or 4 words to that game. Or if your child has more to say, has more vocabulary, then you can, add longer sentences into that game and try and keep the language the same each time you do it. Another game you could try, now this is a game maybe more for people who have very good arm strength or good backs, might be the up-down game. So, that could be if you have a child maybe who's younger, not so heavy, that you could do up, and then when baby or child starts laughing or says down, you go down, and then you wait again when they're down here, and they might say up or look at you or make a sound, and you do up, and then if they communicate with you in some way, then you go down. So sometimes when I play that with my child, he might just go or he might laugh, so I'll go up, and then when he's up here he laughs, or he goes and I'll go down. So I'm waiting for him to communicate in some way so that I can continue doing those actions. All right, so there's a few simple, free little games that you can do that might be helpful to your child with a short attention span, or your child who prefers games with people than games that involve toys. If you're reading books to your child, some nice ideas might be to go for books that he is interested in. This could be a magazine, it could be a catalogue, it could be a book about a favourite cartoon character, it could be a book that's more suitable to a younger child. That's absolutely fine. Nice things about books, if your child has a short attention span, the more visual they are, so having pictures of nice things in them, the better. And sometimes even changing around the words of the book, or just talking about what your child is interested in that book, can be a nice thing to do, rather than reading all of the words of the book if that is too hard for your child right now. You can also skip to the favourite page of the book. That's absolutely fine once your child is staying and paying attention to that book. Or you could, start at the end page, work your way back. If that's what your child likes to do, that's absolutely fine. If you're playing games with your child or playing with toys, some things that can be nice to do for their attention span would be to add movement and touch to the games. So if I am singing the song Row, Row Your Boat with my child, and I know that sometimes it's hard for him to stay with me for the whole duration of that song, I might put my child up on my lap, and I could take his hands and we could sing Row the Boat, rocking back and forth like this. Or I could sing Row the Boat by bouncing him up and down on my knee, and that's more likely to hold his attention. That's more likely to be fun, and hopefully my child will stay there till the end of the game and might even ask me to repeat the game again, which is a really good skill and really useful for children who have short attention spans.